Hi, everybody. This is our day 4 of the coaching as guest experts, and we're going to all be the experts because unfortunately Michelle Baker wasn't able to join us today at the very last minute. She had a reshifting of her schedule, and she'll have to come on another time. So I thought we would just go ahead and Denise, I saw your share this morning, and tell us what happened. That was so great.
Yeah, so I've been nurturing a lead that I've had for a little while for my writing class, and we went through the sales consult conversation. I processed the quote, set up the contract. There's an automatic electronic invoicing. And it's been like 2 weeks. He missed the deadline for signing up. And I could have sworn I had seen an email or text that said he wasn't interested because he didn't take any action.
Right.
And yesterday after the call that we had, and I loved your panel of experts with Alan Davidson and Mark Porteous and Julia Steggy and Gianna Gabellini. I think that was the 4 of them, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Yeah. They were fabulous. And a text came through that said, "Are we on for tonight at 6? I'm confirming I'll be there." And it was,
yay.
Yeah. So I shot him back a text that said, here's what needs to happen before 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Approve the quote, sign the electronic contract, pay the invoice.
Nice.
And he came through within an hour, did everything he needed to, including full pay. So by 5 o'clock, I was like, woohoo, I have money in my
I love it when the cash register rings. It's just the best feeling. So very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And it really does prove that point. Mark said you can change that state in a minute. And we learned that from Alan. And the energy alignment that you talk about, that vibration of attracting clients instead of making it hard and struggling.
Right.
And it was really cool because I talked to one of my other coaching friends and was, talking about strategic attraction. And even at lunch today when I networked, it's like, can we strategically attract, vibrationally attract?
Yeah.
And we can talk about mindset, but how do you heal the mindset?
Yeah.
Right. So, so it's a different energy today than I had yesterday.
Awesome. That's great. And congratulations. Standing ovation, as they say.
Yes, thank you.
That's really great. So, so you think that what shifted, let's say, was what? What do you think? Maybe something stood out for you this week. Certainly the panel, but it was part of the selling bee. What did kind of stand out for you that you think made a difference for you?
I would say there's a couple factors. So number one, what we focus on is where we put our energy, and we can set our intentions, and then we can manifest from that.
Yeah.
So by focusing on the selling bee, I'm focused on selling. I'm focused on leads. I'm focused on my sales conversation, my onboarding processes, and who I'm being.
Yes.
Like who am I being in those situations?
Right.
And so there's more of a conscious mindset of who I'm being to do those instead of just tasks.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time with business, it's just a task. It's another thing on the to-do list. We're not bringing that energy, that focused, intentional energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so true. I mean, it is just as sometimes it seems overly simple to say this, that I need to just shift my being, shift my energy, but it's monumental. It really produces something out there that people resonate with. That's when I get the most, what I call strategic synchronicities.
Exactly. And then the second key piece for me is letting go of that story of my business is at this level and I have to struggle. And, everyone can talk about, oh, I want to have the 6 figures, 7 figures,
Yeah.
But, as you're on this journey, it feels like pie in the sky.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I don't know who said it yesterday. Maybe it's a combination of all of you talking yesterday.
it
And
was a lot being said yesterday.
yeah, and creating that container. And it's like, what if I stopped doubting it would happen?
Yeah.
And it's like, holy smokes, within an hour, boom, there it was.
Yeah.
So getting out of my own doubt, getting out of my own way.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known that concept for a while. I mean, it's been up here, sorry.
It's okay.
But it's a matter of like energetically, and then that's what we allow with the heart. And I'm all about the courageous heart. And you were like letting the love in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's like, there it is. If I stop doubting from an ego standpoint, I connect with my soul, I open up the heart. That's the field that will attract people and then create the manifestations.
That's right. That's really
So
it.
that doubt is the piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I don't think everybody can relate to that. At some point, it pops up here and there all the time for me. So letting go of the self-doubt. Usually the self-doubt tells me I need something, like I need to stop and breathe, or I need to take a break and go walk the dog, or go pet the kitty and hang out with my animals, or get into nature. I could just go sit in my backyard in the patio and just kind of regenerate myself. Usually that's what happens if I'm trying to force something to happen, or I'm so sensitive that it's usually a physical reaction, like I feel tired or something like that.
Yeah, the tired, the overwhelmed, we feel stuck. But that's
I get this paralysis feeling. And so that is always an indication it's time to walk away from the desk, step away from the computer, Jan, and go be with Jan. And that will shift my energy. And then I come back, and there's always something delightful awaiting me.
There you go. That's beautiful. Yeah. And because you're connected with your true self instead of this ego story. Because for me, I don't know about you, but for me, I can get caught up in that story of what I'm trying to do and how it's going to be judged and perceived by other people, how the inner critic is judging me. And that's all the lower chakras, the chakra energies.
Yes.
And that's all the head stuff, right? That's not the heart and that's not the soul stuff. So by connecting to nature, I have 3 cats myself, by taking that break, I go out and take photographs. It's like, and breathing and getting back into our bodies, right? Out of the head into the bodies.
Yeah.
It does shift and it allows the flow to happen. And then it's not coming from that ego head.
No.
Yeah. So if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah. And I kept reflecting on our panel discussion yesterday and how, of course, these are, 4 of my very most favorite people in the planet. So, of course, we would all kind of resonate to something similar. And, but just, when I kept marveling because I'd been in sales since I was 24. So that's a long time. And there was nobody back then saying, well, you need to stop and go meditate or do a breathing exercise or go take a break. Nobody ever said that to me. It was more, I was a young saleswoman in Houston, Texas, and they wanted us to do cold calls, which is an oxymoron in Houston, which hot and humid most of the time.
Right.
And that was back in the day when we wore the pantyhose and the heels and sometimes the little necktie that was so miserable. And anyway, my friend and I, one of my friends that was also a sales rep, we would go out together, and half the time we would just peel our pantyhose off. We'd go knock on a few doors, and then we'd get tired of it and hot, and we would go, well, let's just copy down all the names on the marquee of who are in this building and say that we called on them. And then we'd go drink iced tea and put our feet up until it was time to go back to the office. So nobody recommended things that were suggested yesterday. So I really like that.
It's a huge shift. I did medical sales for 7 months in Raleigh, North Carolina, heat and humidity, driving 700 miles in one day.
Oh my.
Oh yeah. And you know what? I had a natural ability to sell, but I wasn't skilled or trained at selling. And it was the Southern, I'm going to just put it out there. It was the Southern Old Boy Network.
Yeah.
And I was perceived as the Yankee feminist, woman. So it was not a happy environment for me.
Yeah.
And I was having great success. I was ready to win a competition. Bless you.
Excuse me.
That's okay. Bless you, bless you.
I hope that didn't go on the recording. I think I muted it.
You did, and it did not go on the recording. Okay. But yeah, and it was more about techniques, and I think I did well because it was the heart-to-heart, face-to-face connections. The phone calls, not so much. And it's like, I've got it on my shelf, I think, Zig Ziglar's like How to Close Sales, or, it's like, no.
Yeah, me too. I totally followed all of that for a long time. So
yeah.
That's all that was out there. And mostly it was all men. So
totally.
There's also a woman's way of doing business that's very different.
It's relational. We connect relationally and supportively and nurturing, and that's what you're bringing. That's the contrast you're pointing out, and I so love that.
Yeah.
We do have a role model now of feminine leadership.
Yes,
of
we do.
Heart-centered entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That's what's making this world work, business work, and the world change. Hallelujah, praise the Lord, right?
Well, I see a couple of people have joined in. If they want to hop in, we're just a casual conversation. Our guest speaker had to go work for a living. She wanted to pass along that she was teaching a class to 100% of them being her perfect client. And she said she would post a testimonial for this. But we're just discussing. If you want to hop in the discussion or ask questions, here we are. But what I was going to say is tomorrow our tip is on the strategic attraction plan. And of course it's the Zoom version. I could spend weeks talking about it. But in the second step of the 5-step strategic attraction plan, it says to identify what makes me and my perfect customers or clients tick. And so what makes me tick is being the voice of feminine spirit. And when I discovered that was not when I was in corporate America selling for other people. I discovered that I had to leave that environment to figure that out. But what it meant to me when those words came is that I think business is a highly creative, and there's a lot of intuition involved. I love the flow of business, and I'm like, that's who I am. I left my corporate job because I wasn't being allowed to be creative. I was having to fit in the mold of what they said I needed to fit into, and that box didn't fit me. And so that's why it was so stressful. And that's what a lot of these testing services, DISC and some of the others, I'm not familiar with all of them, and they will affirm this, that if you're not living and working true to what's true for you, you're going to have high stress. And that's really that's the long and the short of it, is that this is opportunity time when the stress is mounting, and that's what was facing me when I left that job. The stress was mounting. It was taking a toll on me physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it was time for Jan to get in touch with Jan and what's perfect for me. So here we are, 20 years later.
Well said. That's exactly, I can relate to those experiences.
Yeah.
So I do have one question for you today.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so for me, I have the experience of meeting with the clients for the sales conversation. It goes great. They're excited. They're on board. Some of them even pay their deposits towards a 3-month program, and then they change their mind afterwards. And I'm not always sure, and I don't, at this point, do an excellent job of getting them re-engaged so that they will commit further. So any advice or insights you have on the people who change their minds and won't go forward even though they were excited, I would appreciate that.
Well, that always is a hard one. Somebody enrolls and then they back out.
Right.
So that could be several different places we could talk about around that. One, let's talk about from what I teach of attracting your perfect customer or client. So on your strategic attraction plan, which we'll cover tomorrow, as I mentioned, is that a perfect fitting customer? That's a question. If it's not, then they vibrate it out.
Right.
Because selling is always about a vibration. If I'm really in harmony with what I sell and what I offer, and no doubt your program is in harmony because you created it, and then you vibrate people in to fit, and then all of a sudden they leave, could be that they're not a good fit. Okay?
Yes.
So that's one possibility.
Right.
Another one, back in the day, I used to volunteer for an organization that gives seminars called Landmark Education. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but I did quite a few of their seminars, and I volunteered as an assistant. And the last assisting position that I had, not paid, right? This is all volunteer.
Right.
I was what was called the enrollment team leader. So I enrolled people into the program. My partner, who I started and wrote the first book with, started the business with, wrote the first book with, Stacy, she was what they called enrollment team, fulfillment team leader. That's what it was.
Okay.
And what that means is when somebody has enrolled, you have to keep selling them to stay in. So the fulfillment part is there may be an area there that you may have lost a connection with that person. Maybe you got busy. Oh, they're in, they're all set. But over in their world, they're not seeing all the busyness that you're doing. They're not noticing that you're doing this and getting ready for that, putting it all together. So there might have been a disconnect in their body, mind, and soul that they needed from you and didn't get. So those are how I would approach both. And, of course, a phone call to find out from them what they have to say about it would be the way to do it. And so what you need to do is re-enroll them into the class, into the program. And that's all that's missing. People naturally will do business with you when they see a possibility, right? And that's what, as good salesperson, as a good salesperson, I help people to see possibility. And how long do you think, if I open someone up to a new possibility, how long do you think that window stays open?
Not very long, I don't think.
Not very long is right. So
Yeah.
like in the moment, they're like, yeah, Denise, I want to do your 3-month program. I'm going to enroll right now. And then they sleep. Then tomorrow happens.
Yeah.
And then. And so that's maybe a suggestion to look and see, is there something you need to put in place to stay connected with them? Let them know, what's coming, what you're doing. I'm excited. All sorts of things. You'll have to think that through.
The software I have to onboard, I've got set up, and so there's the welcome letter, and I actually have started recording short little YouTube videos private to them, saying like, welcome, Jen. I'm so excited that we're going to be working on your confidence in selling.
That's good. That's good.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week because
Mhm.
when I enroll them and they've committed, I book the appointment right then. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that dropout time frame. I love that number one, I love the strategies you talked about, but that window seems to be that 24, 48 hours.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so
Critical. Hmm.
that's my area of growth is picking up that phone and re-enrolling them and getting them excited about that possibility again. So,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and I do agree with, are they the perfect client or not? So the gal I'm thinking of, major depressive disorder, and that's going to take the wind out of her sails right there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And as the coach, I'm trying to hold space for them to step up to their vision, their
Yeah,
possibilities.
yeah.
So, yeah, so I would have to hold a stronger, bigger container for her or let her go.
That's a very important point. A lot of people that I work with that are just starting programs. I don't know how long you've been leading programs. How long have you been leading programs like this?
Individual work is been 6 years, and I've got a
Okay.
master's in counseling psychotherapy.
Okay. So you've been doing this for a while.
I've been doing this for a while, and I've led groups before. I've
Yeah.
done a wellness fair before.
Hmm.
So,
Well, sometimes when people are new, that distinction of holding the space for another person
yes.
is not really something they understand.
Mm-hmm.
But you touched on it. I wanted to say, I think that's a really important component of holding the space, not only while people are enrolling into your programs and buying from you, but also once they get in and then while they're going through it. Sometimes when a new business owner tells me, oh, yeah, I'm going to do a year-long program, I just go, really? A year is a really long time to hold space for. And I think it's sometimes better to start out, with like if you were joining the gym, you wouldn't run the marathon the first day.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
Good
Yeah, and
question.
the distinction also is, holding the space for the person versus getting attached to their
Mm-hmm.
results and caring more about their work
Mm-hmm.
than they do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
One of the things I follow, one of the things that, like one of the motivational things I've read that I like is that a, people are either love or a cry for love. I think that's how it goes. So sometimes if somebody drops out of working with me, it could be a cry for love. Like I need attention. I need my possibility reiterated, rebuilt, I lost my possibility. I don't know why I'm doing anything. And so, yeah, this is part of being a good salesperson in your business. It's holding that space.
That's really powerful to me. Thank you for that cry for love. And they need to reignite their possibility. Beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Who else has a question? Anybody? Or a comment? Did we touch on something you've been experiencing? Okay, well, tell us a little bit more about any obstacles that you run into. You're my dedicated person today. Something that you had to work through as a business person for quite a few years. What did you work through around selling that you found to be effective?
I definitely worked through that process of being desperate for clients and money to come in and trying to be everything to everybody and accepting non-perfect clients. And it's painful. It doesn't get them results. It doesn't get the results it takes my joy out.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to that corporate trying to be a round peg in a square hole. So
Yes.
it's out of alignment. So what's really worked on the positive side is having your perfect client define what makes me tick, what makes them tick,
Mm-hmm.
and really trusting my intuition. This is the other really big component. So now I do really trust. I got a phone call Sunday as I was driving home from babysitting my nephew. And just energetically, I felt like this young man wasn't going to be a good fit. I gave him like a mini coaching session on the phone. I wouldn't necessarily do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was organic. I did it, gave him some resources, some strategic actions to take. And, sure enough, I did follow up with him on Wednesday and haven't heard back. So it's like the intuition says I'm not the right coach, and I think he needs more of a therapist type of coach, or he needs a different container. Mm-hmm. So that's been really helpful. And just working on that trust that my clients are out there. Yeah. And they do find me. And then asking the universe, asking source, whatever your belief is. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is what I need here. And again, I think that goes to asking and setting the intention. Yeah. And that's what gets magical, because it's like, I get those website contacts. I get those phone calls, and it's like they show up. Yeah. So trusting. Mm-hmm. Intuition, asking, trusting, intention. Yeah. And without those components, it's way more of a struggle. It's way more stressful. I used to have a cycle of almost getting into desperation. I'm going to give up. And it's like, and then the universe says, nope, here's people for you in income. And then it's like, no. And then I've actually applied for like a job to be a census taker. And then the universe said, here's 5 new people. So,
I know. I think, in the 20 years I've been in business, I have thought about getting a real job numerous times. But there was a point where I was just like, I'm basically unemployable now. But, I think a lot of what I've noticed recently is how do I want to package what I sell? Like, how do I want to price it? How do I want to package it? What do I really want to do? And earlier in the year, I did a 12-week program, which is part of the certification training. And I decided that it was a little too long. So I'm doing a 6-week. Mm-hmm. It'll be a lot of the same material for those 6 weeks, but there will be a piece that would fit some and not others. And the first part really fits everybody. And so that's what I'm excited about, that I'll be offering. You guys will hear about it. They're planting a seed, you could say, right now, because I want to work with everybody that's really been active in the selling bee. But what I discovered is that I don't always know exactly what everybody wants, so I just kind of put it out there, design my programs, and then see what really seems where the most aliveness or energy is. Yeah. And so that's how I created this next program. But looks like our other participants are a little quiet. I don't have any questions. So I didn't make this Facebook Live. It's just a recording. I'll post it on our Facebook group. But thank you, Denise. Oh, who's that?
Hi, it's Julia.
Oh, hi there.
I don't want to be just a lurker.
Yeah, oh, good. I'm glad you're not just spying from the back side of the curtain.
No, and I didn't. But I got a little late. And anyway.
Did you have any questions or anything for the coaches? Denise, the coach too.
It sounds great. I didn't know really what to expect. When you're talking about selling, you mean any type of selling, or a lot of you are life coaches?
Yeah, a lot of people.
Oriented?
Yeah, a lot of people are oriented, but selling is selling.
Yeah.
It really boils down to my approach to selling is always about building relationship. That whether you're selling or marketing, if you don't have a relationship with yourself first, you know what you want, what's perfect for you, how can you have a relationship with another person? And so a lot of what I talk about is helping people to get in that place of connection to themselves, or what's important and who you are, so that when you meet people that are potential buyers for your products, then it's going to be a matter they're going to do business with you because they like you. And
Well, I
that's
had
what
an
it
interesting
boils down
experience
to.
this
Yeah.
morning that I've been working on since July, that I was able to actually go up to Los Alamos to the lab and area in the lab and present. I sell insurance and living benefits, specifically. So it's the kind of living life insurance that pays you if you get sick. You don't have to die.
Right.
So I was talking to a union, and I was able to actually present. This is the very first time since I've been in the business that I did a little bit of a public speaking, did the whole presentation.
Good.
I had beautiful handouts, and I did the whole thing. And it turned out just like there was 9 board members that I was presenting to, along with the gentleman who I actually just got from a lead, who had turned out to say, hey, you should present this to my union. And it turned out that they actually want to go back and powwow and see how they can perhaps put this in their contract and make it almost maybe get the lab to pay part of it, but all 210 of their members would
Awesome.
would have access to this, and maybe they can't really force somebody, but they think they're the type of people though that they're kind of like a brotherhood. If somebody gets injured or hurt or something, everybody will put money in an envelope, and so if somebody doesn't have money, or they didn't put something in place for themselves to help pay their bills, if they get sick, everybody's picking up the slack. So this is kind of like a no-brainer, you guys. This is going to help all of us if everybody pitches in a little bit or so forth. So it was like a very driving up there, and last night the biggest thing for me was to get out of wanting to make a sale, of course, because and remembering I'm a fiduciary, and always just saying, turning it over, surrendering to the outcome, and just saying, I'm just there to have a conversation, build a relationship, and show them what makes sense and touches their heart enough. And what happens. I have to get out of what's in it for me and what's in it, and make it what's important for them.
Well,
So
you're
really
just
well
speaking to Julia. Everything we talked about, Denise and I were just talking about, is that first you got to build the relationship, which you did and you are doing. That's continuing to build the relationship. But you also went to the next level of creating an opportunity or a possibility. And so when that door opens, then the next step is, what is your next step with them, if I could ask?
My next step is I'm meeting my buddy to write him some insurance on Monday, because he says, hey, I said, hey, Mike, you're the one that started this thing. You have to lead it. And he says, you're absolutely right. Let's take care of it. But I'll see him on Monday. But this is probably going to be a somewhat slower number of the people, but they're meeting all, like 200 people will be coming in today. They have monthly board meetings. So,
that's great. Okay.
Originally, I was going to be staying there and talking to people. They said, you know what, it's better. They're not going to be here till the afternoon. I was there at 9. Just why don't you, we can really present this to our members, leave a bunch of things out, and so forth. And we have questions, we want more information, we'll contact you. But they just kept saying, if we knew this was around, they want to get rid of their regular life insurance and get this. So I think it'll be somewhat slow, but they said we're in the process of renegotiating our whole 5-year contract. That's what we want to see about. But this is probably not starting till December. And so it'll be a longer term thing, but with bigger deals, it takes longer time. In the meantime, there'll be individual clients and groups from this group that, but most of the board members, they had, they want to get something, they want to talk to their wives, they had things
Yeah.
that they could actually relate to and get their kids, covered and other things. So,
So, now, do you want to know what your job is?
yeah.
Sorry to butt in there. I couldn't wait to get my little nose into that one. But your job is to keep the possibility alive. And so you opened a window, and possibility doesn't always stay open very long. So you have to keep watering the tree here so that you can keep keep it moving down the court. So that's your job, is to keep the opportunity to move down the court, keep in relationship with people. Your guy certainly is a good step there, and he's your advocate at the business side. So keep in relationship with him and see if you can, get in there again for the next meeting.
Exactly. They meet every month. So I'll if I can show up,
Yeah.
for a little bit of time, just to sit over in the corner and put up my little shingle out.
Yeah.
Talk about. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love
That
to.
sounds like a good one. It really does. Very exciting.
And,
So here's we've been talking about being all week. So do you have any blinders around this? Let me ask you that.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I did. Part of my blinders is I'm not been in the business 10 years. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years and did a lot of things, not more casual, like turquoise business and other things. So being in like the professional field, learning how to dress in a business type of a thing. I could definitely sort of see having a business coach sort of at this stage. A lot of it is my self-belief in that, I've been in this a year and a half, and I'm doing okay. So my blinders are mostly around confidence and self-belief. But I think, honestly, that comes from whether I was in any business.
Of course, yeah. You're still learning the ropes, so to speak, and building momentum. In the beginning of any new endeavor, whether it's a new business or a new job or a new project you're working on, the first part is to formulate it and to figure out what you want to do. That's the first part. And then once you figure that out, then the next part is where you go into a period of concentration, where you have to put in a lot more effort, then you get results out. And I was talking to somebody who was in real estate earlier in the week, and we were talking about this same thing, where she had to show a lot of houses and, hadn't gotten the results yet. So that's the stage you're in, but you're certainly, once you get especially when you get a nice account like this one, you can start building momentum quicker, and then you keep building the momentum. So I would say you're on the right track. It sounds like it.
Yeah, I've been doing okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Jan.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that with you, and good luck on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anything else for anybody before we sign off for today? I didn't make this Facebook Live. I just realized I forgot to do that. Winning today. All right. Well, keep posting in our Get Selling Now group if you think of anything after this particular call. And we have one more day. Can't wait for tomorrow as well. And then I'm going to be in touch with you. I want to do like a kind of a celebration of the Selling Bee next week. And I will do that on Wednesday next week. So take your pencil and mark your calendar, if you would, at 11 a.m. Mountain for Wednesday of next week. And we will just kind of bring this whole baby to a close. This has been a big week for me too, and very expansive. So I can't wait to hear all the results, and we're starting to get a lot of great results posted about in our Facebook group. So, All right. Well, thanks for coming, and keep selling. Keep being.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye for now.